Never let anybody see you sweat.
So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener. I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw. Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Leslie Johnson claims her business partner splurged on a more expensive oven, then took it with her when they dissolved their mobile bakery. Kylie Barnes says her father gifted the money for the oven, so it's hers.
Ms. Johnson, you are suing your former business partner, Ms. Barnes, for $5,000 that you say she owes you as a result of, I guess, in your view, stealing some business equipment. Would that be correct?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
All right, tell me what happened. How did the two of you know each other?
So we've been friends about 10 years. We came to know each other from selling baked goods at fundraisers through church and some other events. And we were actually a very good team. We became fast friends. And we found that we had a lot of interests in common, and we started attending farmers markets and, you know, going to lunch and movies. And in that process, we found that we had a lot of repeat business, interested in our baked goods, and we decided to get a booth at a farmer's market. We did that for a few seasons, on and off through, you know, peak holidays, and that just kind of gave us the idea that we thought we might want to go in business together.
And open up what, a storefront?
Well, actually, no. We decided to do a food truck because with the pop-up business, you're stationary, and what we decided to do is we could cover more ground and more territory if we were mobile. So we both invested equally into a
How much did each of you invest?
$5,000 each, $10,000 together.
And with that $10,000, what was purchased?
We bought a food truck, and then we both took out some of our own personal loans and put together to get some more supplies.
How much did each of you put out from your personal money to get together and get more supplies?
So I'm not really sure all of what she might have accrued in a personal loan, but I know that everything that we put in together was always equally done.
Was always equal?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, you're in business for how long before the oven breaks?
About 18 months.
Okay. And then what happens?
So what we find, it's irreparable. We're not able to fix it, and the only next thing we need to do is buy another oven. And at this time, we had come to an agreement that we were going to be really lean in our budgeting, and so we didn't really have the money for the oven. Her father, though, did step up and offer us and the business to loan us the money for an oven.
So did you write out a promissory note between the business and the father?
No.
No. And what happens instead? You go out and you buy an oven.
I do. I purchased an oven.
With your dad's money?
With my father's money. You are correct, Your Honor.
And your father loaned it to you or to the business?
He actually gave me the money for the oven. It was a gift.
Did the business put any money towards the oven? I'm asking you.
No.
Okay. So,
however,
with all of your father,
Your Honor,
and the business did not obligate itself to make any monthly payments to Dad. There was nothing in writing about that, or verbally, frankly.
No, Your Honor. However,
okay, hold on. And so now so Dad gives you money.
Yes.
You go out and you buy what?
I purchased an oven, which we agreed upon, and a mixer, and a small refrigerator.
Okay, when you say we agreed upon an oven, you mean you agreed upon buying an oven? You agreed upon buying that oven?
We agreed upon buying an oven.
And then instead of buying that oven that was agreed upon, you bought this other oven.
I did, Your Honor.
Okay, and you also bought a mixer and a what?
And a small refrigerator.
Okay, and then all those items you got for how much?
Roughly, well, the oven is $10,000.
I asked you what you got it for.
$10,000.
That's what you paid for?
Yes.
So you paid
The oven alone.
You paid a total of how much for the oven, the mixer, and the refrigerator?
Well, a total of $12,000, but the oven alone was $10,000.
She comes with the goods, and what is your reaction, Ms. Johnson?
So the oven that we agreed, Your Honor, the oven we agreed to purchase was $4,000, which was within the budget, which was within our agreement. And I had a wedding that I had to go to. So she was going to be the one responsible for going to pay for the oven. That's it.
Coming up on Justice for the People.
My father had gifted the money.
No, but you keep saying that, but you intended that the business be obligated. As it turns out, the business wasn't in any legal form.
And later,
Gun safety is really important to me. I just want to say that first and foremost.
Yeah, but just a second. You had somebody else's 14-year-old son, and you decided to teach him how to use a gun without consulting the parent?
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the dispute between Leslie Johnson and bakery co-owner Kylie Barnes over a pricey oven.
Okay, but what was the plan between you and her, or you and the father, or the business and the father, or like, in other words, if she's going and pay for it, that's it. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, you pay for it and then you get it. And so she's saying it's mine because I paid for it. And you're saying, no, it's the business's and you shouldn't have taken it. Yes. The business did not obligate itself to pay the company, the vendor it was purchased from. You sent her to just take care of everything and do nothing. I just sent her to pay for it. Yeah, that's the whole shebang, right? And then she comes back with all these things, and then you're mad at her because she spent so much money, right?
Yes, and put us in more debt.
Okay, because you felt, even though you hadn't signed anything, that the business was going to be in debt for all that.
Yes.
So, and plus, she did all that without discussing it with you. That's
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
And she's been doing that from the very beginning.
Right. So you don't have the same spending philosophy.
I do not when it comes to communication and agreements.
Right. And she feels like you got to spend to make.
Yes.
Right, but you also have to have the permission of your partner to spend. Do you feel that part or not really?
No, Your Honor, I do feel that part. I believe in that part. I'm actually the one who thought about having the mobile bakery. I am the creative side behind everything, and so when I see that beautiful oven, I knew that that's what we really
Right,
needed.
but what was your intent, though? Because were you obligating the business to make all those payments? Because she had approved a $4,000, the business had approved a $4,000 expenditure, and you spent 3 times that. So what was the game plan? That the business would absorb that?
Yes, Your Honor. The payments were quite minimal. I believe we could handle it. We had great business. My father had gifted the money.
No, but you keep saying that, but you intended that the business be obligated. As it turns out, the business wasn't in any legal form. However, your intent was that she would say, oh, you're right, it's so pretty, and that everything would be fine, and that the business, not you, would pay the money either to, I don't know, because you say that your father gave it to you, but then I see that there's payments that are supposed to be done.
Yes.
So how much did your father give you?
He gifted $4,000.
Oh, right, okay, so that's why the rest of it is on, and you expected that the business would make those payments because you made the decision in your mind that it would, but without talking to your partner.
Absolutely.
So of course she blows up, and then what happens? The two of you agree that you're going to go your own ways.
Yeah, so when I get back, the oven gets delivered along with these other additional expenses on top of not a full payment, but a bill. And I kind of lost my cool. Yeah, and I was all over her. I was all over you. I mean,
but where did that? When you say the business could afford $4,000, no, it couldn't, because she had to go to her dad for that. So the business couldn't afford anything.
Yeah, no.
Right, and then what was the agreement you entered into regarding the breakup?
Okay, so the dissolution agreement was that we went separate ways, and we would split it down the middle.
Can I see you actually wrote out something, correct?
Yes.
Take your time.
There
You
you
are
go.
right,
There we go.
Your Honor. There was an agreement, so.
Yeah. So, all right, here we go. The partners have chosen to dissolve their partnership. terminated as of September 18th. Partner A, and that's you, Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
agrees to buy out partner B via a one-time payment of $5,000 sent via bank transfer,
True.
which was done, correct?
So when I show up-
Everybody's on the same page on that.
Yes,
Then the
sure.
next sentence, the next number is 4, assets and liability. Partner B agrees to allow partner A to continue operating the business under the same brand. Partner A agrees to allow partner B to recoup all assets they contributed to the business. Okay, what did you mean by, you drafted this, correct?
Correct.
So what did you mean when you drafted this?
Meant that everything that belonged to the business would stay with the business.
What did you mean? Now, that's the first part. The
Okay.
second part is that you're allowing her to recoup all assets she contributed to the business. What do you mean by that? I don't think you know.
I don't.
And so, but she knew, and she felt that what that meant was, if I paid for an oven, and I paid for a mixer, and I paid for a fridge, I'm taking the oven, the mixer, and the fridge, which is what you did. So it's one thing if she took all that equipment and you're stuck owing dad because you signed something with dad or whatever else. But what actually ended up happening is she absorbed all the cost and the debt of all of it. So how then would that not be something, an asset that she contributed to the business? At the end of the day, the business is not obligated to pay one thin dime of any of this. So that then, if the business isn't obligated to do it, then she's going to do it. And then isn't that something she brought into the business? I find it is, and I find that she does not, in fact, have to pay you for that stuff. That's my verdict. Verdict for the defendant.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim is denied.
Any last remarks?
I wish you well.
Thank you. I'm doing great.
All right, step this way, please. Make sure you grab all of your belongings.
Coming up,
That's not exactly what happened. I didn't teach him how to use a gun.
Talk to me, please, not
Sorry.
each other. The time to talk to each other passed. You filed a lawsuit, and it's in front of me. Talk to me.
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. Robert CRUZ claims his son was injured after his careless brother-in-law let the teen shoot a gun while camping. Andrew LEMITT says he did his best to show his nephew how to use a gun safely, but accidents happen.
All right, Mr. CRUZ, you are suing Mr. LEMITT for $3,789 in hospital bills your son incurred that you say were his fault. Tell me what happened.
So I sent my son to, on a weekend trip with my brother-in-law.
He's your brother-in-law?
Yes, my brother-in-law.
Okay.
My son.
How old's your son?
14.
Okay. And you sent him on a weekend camping trip. Had he ever gone camping before?
No, he hasn't. I'm not much of a camper. His mom was. She passed away when he was 6.
Okay.
So I had an idea to have him hang out with his uncle.
Okay.
Because we spent a lot of time apart, and they need time to bond. So I sent him out to hang out with his uncle.
And where were you camping?
Just up in the mountains by my house back in Vermont.
Okay. What happened?
So they went out camping, and he brought out a gun, his rifle, and then my son, he's very curious about a gun, I mean, something he's never used before. So my brother-in-law had an idea to teach him how to use a gun.
Okay, stop a second. You weren't there, right?
I wasn't there.
I'm going to ask you what happened.
Thank you. Gun safety is really important to me. I just want to say that first and foremost.
Yeah, but just a second. You had somebody else's 14-year-old son, and you decided to teach him how to use a gun without consulting the parent?
I learned when I was 14, and the
Yeah,
responsibility
but
was
I
in
know,
my
but
hands.
this isn't your kid where you're deciding gun safety is very important to me, so I want to pass it along to my kid because I have guns in the house. This is someone else's kid.
Coming up,
The kid had his gun in the shoulders. He wasn't holding it properly, as far as I understand, but he took a shot.
Wait. How did he get the gun from you?
you're watching Emmy-nominated Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Robert CRUZ, who blames his brother-in-law, Andrew LEMITT, for his son's broken nose.
So I'm curious. You decided to teach a 14-year-old. I know why the 14-year-old's curious. He's a 14-year-old boy. But your decision to teach him how to use a gun, you decided to do that without consulting the parent?
Well, that's not exactly what happened. I didn't teach him how to use a gun.
Talk to me, please, not each other. The time to talk to each other passed. You filed a lawsuit, and it's in front of me. Talk to me.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I didn't teach him how to use a gun. I was using a gun, and I thought he would be a little more respectful of his elders. But essentially, I had set up a shooting range in the mountains.
Did you ever tell him we're going camping and I'm going to teach him how to shoot? Yes or no?
No, I didn't.
Okay, go on.
Before I could even teach him proper safety, I turned around and the kid had his gun in the shoulders. He wasn't holding it properly as far as I understand, but he took a shot.
Wait. How did he get the gun from you? I'm not getting...
I had the gun out and I had set up a range to do some shooting in the morning.
Right, so who gave him the gun?
He picked it up himself. I didn't say he could shoot it.
And when you saw him with it, you didn't say, hey, wait a second. You've never held a gun. I need to teach you proper gun safety.
Yeah. He saw me using it, and I guess because of video games, he assumed he knew what he was doing. And before I could really lay down the law, I heard a bang, and I turned around, and the recoil shot back and hit him in the face. And unfortunately,
so the gun hit back, and that's what happened to him.
Yes.
It ended up hitting his nose?
Yeah, it broke his nose.
It broke his nose.
Yeah, so I've seen this injury before. It wasn't that big a deal to me. I took appropriate action right away, ran to my car, got the phone, got him the help he needed.
Judge Milian's verdict when justice for the people returns.
So I didn't think it was that big a deal.
He left him alone with the gun. That's why I'm worried about. He was responsible for his gun, rifle, and then my son got hurt. It's his fault.
It shouldn't be on me. You gave your son to me to learn about safety, and this is the
but had the topic of gun safety and guns was never you. You're basically an adult. Like, assume that his son went to your house for a play date, and then you left a gun where he could get it, and he got hurt.
I don't have kids of my own. He left his son with me.
Right, I understand, but you're the adult in charge. I'm sorry. You're the adult in charge of the kid. And you allowed a kid who doesn't understand proper gun safety to get his hands on a gun, and he broke his nose. Thank God that's all that happened. And you're being sued now for the hospital bills. Why on earth wouldn't I make you pay those hospital bills? Who else was in charge? You're the adult in charge. He's a minor, and you let this happen. I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the $3,789.
All rise.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,789.
It had to happen. It was your fault. You have to admit it, man.
Okay, exit this way, please.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.